Hey there, thanks for tuning into Duckbricks. I'm Chris, and today we have a mega review of every single brand new LEGO Friends Summer 2023 set that just released on June 1st. Now, LEGO Friends is, in my opinion, one of the most underrated LEGO themes ever. It consistently comes out with so many amazing designs that are really great and flesh out the world of what a LEGO city really should be. When LEGO City itself usually gives us fire stations or police stations and whatnot, LEGO Friends gives us a really wide variety of different types of buildings, from apartments to now a gym. We have a community center and kitchen. We have all sorts of different types of buildings, the Botanical Gardens, and Friends does a really good job at really being able to flesh out the world of a LEGO city. And so, LEGO has sent me the entire wave of brand new Summer 2023 Friends sets to build and review and showcase for all of you. And not only will we be taking a look at these, but we'll also be taking a quick look at some of the other LEGO Friends sets that just released in January of 2023. They have come out with some amazing sets, especially for the relaunch and rebranding of the theme this year, like this incredible Unity Street here, which was the modular downtown flower and design stores. Just so many interesting types of architecture being utilized here, which is just so cool. And overall, it's just really impressive being able to see so many amazing buildings from LEGO Friends come out over the span of just this year, and there's so much more to go. So without further ado, I think it's time that we jump into our mega review. These are all, I believe, 14 Friends sets. I mean, we can count them: 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14 sets that just released on June 1st. Again, thank you to LEGO for sending me over these. But of course, all the opinions expressed in this review are my own. We definitely will be talking about price and value for them and really trying to evaluate these with a critical eye in terms of, are the builds worth what you pay and which ones are better than others? And so, let's go ahead and jump right in to the mega review. Okay, so here we have all 14 brand new LEGO Friends Summer 2023 sets. This is easily one of the best waves of LEGO Friends we have ever gotten, including some pretty much masterpiece sets. Some of the highlights of every wave of Friends are featured in this wave, and what's really interesting is that the composition of the wave is broken up into a few different sub-themes. We have a few sets focused on sea rescue, like the boat, the plane, a smaller set here, as well as a sea rescue outpost. We have some general sets to add on to a modular city, such as the largest sets here, the community center, of course the Botanical Garden as well, and then we also have a few water park sets. So we have a large water park set for recreation, there are a couple sets focused on horseback riding, so very different subjects, and then we have just a number of general other buildings like a sports center, as well as a whole host of vehicles, from a news van to a bus to a car. There's a lot going on here, and I'm going to do my best to try to summarize my thoughts on the wave as a whole, and of course share my thoughts on each individual set briefly as well. The first thing I want to note is that, yes, this is probably one of the greatest Friends waves yet. I think easily my favorite set is the Botanical Garden, which you can see right here. I'm actually in the process of working on another video combining 2 copies of the set into one large modular building style of build, so quite excited to have that out. But of course, the other associated buildings are really amazing as well. We have 3 really standout sets, maybe even 4 if you count the water park, and to me, that really makes the wave. I mean, especially this grouping of sets right here is probably the strongest that we've ever seen from LEGO Friends yet. And so I'm just going to quickly go through exactly what sets we're working with here. We've got a small car here as well as a surfing area. This is a small 4+ set, which is set number 41725, Beach Buggy Fun. It retails for $11 or 10 euros, so that is basically the smallest one. There are a number of other small sets as well. For instance, we have another $11 set. This is the Pancake Shop. It has some associated trees and a menu and a table that also retails for $11 or 10 euros. And then we kind of work our way upwards. The set numbers are a little bit strange for this. A lot of them are mixed in with some of the earlier years releases. There isn't a clearly defined separation between waves, but for instance, set number 41734 is the Sea Rescue Boat. It retails for $80 or 85 euros. Next up, we have 41736. This is the Sea Rescue Center, retailing for $50 or 50 euros. 41737 is the Beach Adventure Park. That is a large water park in the back there, retailing for $120 or 100 euros. Then we move onwards to the Sports Center. That's set number 41744, all the way in the back there with the soccer ball, retailing for a kind of high $95 or 95 euros. 41745 is Autumn's Stable. This is for the horseback riding sub-theme for $60 or 63 euros. We have a 4+ riding school, this one right here, which is pretty reminiscent of a lot of Belleville sets. That is 41746, retailing for $30 US or 30 euros. All the way in the back there, we have 41747 Heart Lake City Community Kitchen, retailing for $68 or 70 euros. And we also have 41748 Heart Lake City Community Center, which is this large tower building here that retails for $140 or 150 euros. Lastly, there are just a couple of smaller sets. 41749 is the news van here, retailing for $30 or 30 euros. 41752 is the Sea Rescue Aircraft, retailing for $20 and 20 euros. And finally, 41757 is the incredible Botanical Garden, retailing for $80 and 85 euros. The last set, which I almost forgot here, is 41759 Heart Lake City Bus, retailing for $50 or 55 euros. Wow, that is a lot of LEGO Friends sets, and obviously, as you can see, there's a lot of different details packed in here. I really love the architecture on a lot of the buildings, and I also like the diversity of the different types of topics that are covered here. There isn't just one singular focus on just one sub-theme. There's just a lot of diversity in what you can intend to get for part of the summer wave, and I like how it's really split up between different sub-themes. Of course, you have Sea Rescue with the pontoon boat and the plane and the Sea Rescue Center, but then you have a couple of sets dedicated to horseback riding, a really nice autumn color scheme right there, kind of like a fall type color scheme, another horseback riding set there, and then of course you get to the really good stuff, the community centers, which actually these two buildings are modular and can be combined, which you can already tell they're already combined via Technic pins there, but there's actually another transformation feature as well, which we'll take a look at when we actually examine those sets. First of all though, I'm just going to start off by giving my thoughts on the sets. I'm going to try to go smallest to largest and work my way up. I think that's the easiest way of doing things, and as we work through sets, we can kind of clear them off of here, similar to how we did our Ninjago Dragon's Rising review. So the first set that I want to look at, let's just go ahead and zoom on in here, and that is 41725 Beach Buggy Fun. So this, I honestly do not have a ton to say about because it is just a 4+ set. It really is just a super simple build where you can see here, it comes with a car, and it also comes with just a little bit of a display area to showcase the character's surfboarding. So you can see here there's a spot to put the surfboard, there is a semblance of a wave that's being built up here, and I also really like how they have finally recolored the sloped curve pieces, these 1x2 curves, in transparent colors. You've got transparent blue here, another set uses transparent red, and you've got transparent yellow as well. It's really cool how they actually finally have recolored that piece. Otherwise, this honestly is probably not a set I would have picked up on my own. Thank you to LEGO for sending me this, but it is just a 4+ set, so there's not much going on. I guess it's nice to get a cute dog, but for $11, it definitely feels like this should have been a $10 set, and then it had some price increases to make it $11. I'm not a big fan of the price on this one. But again, it is just a little set, and again, it's for younger builders, so I don't really have too much to say about it, other than it is a fairly standard 4+ style of juniorized car, and I do like the wave. I mean, I like getting that piece in the smaller set, but I'm sure that these transparent pieces are going to make their way onto Pick a Break soon enough. Setting aside this first $11 set, we can take a look at the next $11 set. This one actually has quite a lot of different things going on with it because it is not a 4+ set. It actually has a couple different types of things that you can do with the set itself. So this right here is the Pancake Shop 41753, retailing for $11. And what's really cool is that this introduces a brand new wheelchair for LEGO Friends. We've gotten that wheelchair in a few sets before, particularly with the January wave, but I really like how it actually appears in a smaller set. What LEGO has done is they've actually remolded the wheelchair piece to actually be specifically made for Friends mini dolls. This is a completely new wheelchair piece, which is, again, just for mini dolls, and I really like the dedication to inclusion in including that as part of the set. Of course, the Pancake Shop itself is super simple. You have a nice little awning, good recolor of this quarter piece in coral. I really do like that. I also like the cake topping at the top. And as we move on here, one thing that's pretty cool is that there is a somewhat working mixer with a function, so you can twist this knob here, and you can go ahead and mix your stuff in the bowl. So that is a really nice fun little feature to play around with. It does also introduce what was at least new to me, a new print for a pancake. I did not recognize that, but maybe that's in a number of other friend sets that I might just not have recognized. And overall, this feels a lot more worth it for $11. It is clearly supposed to be a $10 set that they just decided to make $11. And that's kind of unfortunate, but I like how this paints a full-on scene. You have someone who can be working the kitchen, you have a customer, you've got even a little seat for the customers to sit down, and a nice little table to enjoy picnicking outside, especially with this nice little pancake shop that's just kind of its own little corner store. Setting that aside though, again, should be $10, it's $11, that's not that big of a deal, but it does really kind of feel strange that LEGO has just arbitrarily increased the price. We can take a look at the next set for $20. So this is the first among the Sea Rescue sub-theme, and this is just a really nice little bulbous rounded plane. 41752 is officially the Sea Rescue aircraft. It also comes with a white whale, which is really funny. I like how they've actually done the Friends whale piece in white. That is just so cute. But overall, I do like the shaping of the plane itself. It's super simple, but it's utilizing some of the rounded pieces introduced for the Super Mario Bowser set, which is really interesting seeing those being utilized outside of that one theme. I also like how this has a very distinctive style compared to other LEGO airplanes. It feels very cartoony, but in a good way. You've got a lot of rounded edges. There aren't anything jagged really other than the tail. Even the top part here is utilizing the LEGO Harry Potter Icons potion topper piece, and everything just feels very organic in the way that this is sculpted. I really like how it's done, and you can also seat two minifigures with flight controls inside the plane itself, or minifigures or mini dolls, so that is a really nice inclusion. Good to get the white whale for this little bit of extra underwater scenery. For the price of $20, I guess this feels fair, although I definitely feel like this could have been maybe closer to $15, although in today's day and age, it's not that bad. It comes with a detachable oar as well as a surfboard in case you want to utilize those as you cruise on down the pontoon plane onto the water itself. And I don't know, this is just really nice and charming. I just love the color scheme, I love the shaping. It feels very unique compared to, say, a standard LEGO City plane, which definitely would not look like this. So overall, I'm a fan of how this one turned out. Moving on from this set though, we can take a look at some of the next sets. This next one here is, as I scooch these over, a bit of an interesting one because the topic of the set is actually not really something we've seen from LEGO before, and that is a $30 news van. This is 41749, simply titled News Van, and what's interesting is that this set actually tells a story, and I guess there's a bit of a villain in the set as well, where there's a sign here that says that these trees are, I guess, protected ground. You can't cut them down with the chainsaw. But here comes this guy, you know, he's just showing up to do his job. Look, he looks a little guilty, but, you know, he's getting paid presumably good money to do this, and he's going around and he's put up a caution sign, and he's going to go ahead and chop down that tree, because you know what? Man's going to provide for his family. So he goes chop chop, and smashes the egg from the owl, or at least causes the owl's nest to topple over, which is a big problem. Look, that owl is just judging him right there, sitting on the ground being like, yo, what are you doing to my house? So the friends have pulled up and decided to actually televise this in their news van to basically just publicly shame this poor guy and make fun of him for cutting down trees where he's not supposed to. But it's a really interesting concept for a set. I like the message. It's like a very environmental message to against deforestation and whatnot. It's just really strange that this is a topic for a LEGO set. Like, it's I guess a way to provide conflict in a box where you show up and you just tell the guy he shouldn't be cutting this down. Interesting topic for a LEGO set, but there you have it. This does open up. What is cool is that there is a reference to one of the other buildings. As you can see, that is the community center building right there on the news. You also have a couple of different screens here for different types of news, as well as the main feature itself showcasing that owl. I like how you can actually have a good amount of playable space in the van itself. Not super convinced of the shaping of the front of the van. It feels very boxy to me, especially if you take a look at some of the other Friends vehicles, like that amazing pontoon plane, which was very nice and rounded. This feels very rectangular to me. It's not that big of a deal, but it's just something I wanted to point out. The camera itself can be moved back and forth on this piston piece, which is a piece that's been around for quite a while, and you can also articulate it up and down to really get all those shots of the nasty construction worker cutting down the trees. I certainly think it is an interesting topic for a set. I think it's good that LEGO's doing this, but as a $30 set, it feels that something maybe is missing to me. The van itself is nice, but the shaping isn't great. I like how you can open it up, and I guess shaping-wise and size-wise, it does feel like this is worth what you pay. Obviously, it has the tree with the function that you can cut it down as well and topple the egg over, but I don't know. For $30, I feel like I was expecting maybe just a little bit more from the set. That's just how I feel though. It does have a really good price per part ratio because it has 446 pieces. Maybe I've just been spoiled by $30 sets in the past, but overall, I think this is just okay. Nothing super special to me. I also do like, however, that this is an electric vehicle and they're using the same EV logo from Lego City, so that kind of ties in cross-brand or cross-theme continuity in that sense. Setting aside this set though, we can take a look at the next one, which also is a bit of a bus. This is the bus right here, which is another electric vehicle. So this is 41759 Heart Lake City bus, retails for $50 or 55 euros with only 480 pieces. That being said, some of these pieces are large, like you have a large base plate on the top and you have the large windscreens. But wow, $50. I don't know about that. So the shaping of this bus is interesting. I'm sure that there are a lot of buses out there that do look like this. This doesn't feel super realistic to me, but I guess it's not really supposed to. It's supposed to be its own vehicle. One thing I do really like though is that you can actually open the bus up and you have a good amount of seating for mini dolls. You have seats for 4 mini dolls as well as somebody who is riding kind of a mobility vehicle to be able to access it. What is especially nice is that if you push this black lever on the end there, let me just push that back in so I can showcase what that looks like on the side. You can actually unfurl this wheelchair accessibility ramp so folks can actually be able to get onto the bus like so. So that's just a really nice feature. I really do appreciate its inclusion to allow people who are in wheelchairs or other kind of assisted mobility vehicles to be able to ride up onto the bus itself. Now, the set actually does introduce a brand new element, or at least a couple of brand new elements. This is a specialized new piece. The entire thing is one piece that allows you to clip on this very, very useful double clip and bar element, which is also seen in some of the new Lego City sets. However, in North America, those are not out yet, so pretty much this is, for most people, the first way to actually be able to get one of these builds. So I like how they incorporated that into the set itself. You can see that this just rolls on in. The flower inside the basket is a little bit finicky. It does tend to fall out a little bit, but once the doors are closed up, you can just push that back in and away you go. This is how the bus works. One thing I do find pretty cool is that the bus also has a spinning sign up at the top here, kind of reminiscent to like the James Bond car license plate, where you can actually switch around where you want to be going, such as a school, the market, the hospital, or Unity Street, which is one of the sets that introduced in January of this year, the amazing Unity Street or the downtown flower and design stores. The bus stop itself is fairly simple. You just have a nice little rainbow design here as well as a bus map just directly behind the bench there. The bus stop actually feels pretty realistic to what you could see in an actual city. One thing I don't like is how the sticker looks from the back. It just looks like, obviously, unless you just push it down all the way, sticker doesn't look great from the back on the transparent piece. But from the front, this looks pretty good and feels pretty realistic to what you would get. Overall, I'm not the biggest fan of the bus itself. For $50, this feels ridiculously high to me. I definitely feel like this should have been $40. $40 feels fair, $45 is pushing it, $50's too much. I like some of the references on the side of the bus, like the advertisements are actually referencing the downtown design store here, which was a January 2023 set. And of course you have the Fresh Market, which was another January set being advertised on the other side. So you do have some synergies in between multiple different sets in the theme itself, which I think is really cool. But I don't know, aesthetically speaking, the bus is just okay to me. It feels also very rectangular like the other news van. And even though it has the curved windows up the front, I'm not super convinced of the shape. It just feels a little bit too goofy to me. But that's just how I feel, and for $50, I definitely feel like it's overpriced. Not one of my favorite sets. LEGO Friends has done a lot better buses in the past, and that's a bit of a shame because I definitely feel like this one is just kind of average. Moving on from this build though, we can take a look at our next few sets. Now, this is where we kind of will be jumping around in terms of price because there's a couple of different sets with the same price or very similar prices. But what we're going to do is I'm going to move all of these aside and bring forwards this right here, which is the Sea Rescue Center. So this is a very unique style of building. It's not really like anything we've ever gotten from Friends before. and I actually really like it. I probably would have picked this one up myself, and I really do like the shaping of it. 41736, this retails for $50. It actually only has 376 pieces, but somehow feels better value than the bus, which also is $50 with over 400 pieces. I guess that's just because of the amount of stuff it includes. Like, the bus is, for what it is, pretty compact. Like, there's a lot of pieces in this, but it's fairly compact and what you get is pretty small. This, on the other hand, has less pieces, but a lot of those pieces are used to very good effect. We have a lot of these large transparent elements being utilized here, so obviously those are adding a little bit to the cost and the piece count as well, but what's really cool about this is that you have an above water area, and this is obviously meant to be on pillars in the water, maybe in the open ocean, but as you rotate this around, you'll notice that there's actually an underwater area as well. Similar to some of the Avatar 2 sets, like the Metkayina Reef Home, they had an underwater section and an above water section. This does something super similar, and I really liked it when they did that there, and I like it when they did that in this set as well. For all accounts and purposes, this set should not be good value. Like, $50 shouldn't feel good for this, but it actually feels pretty good to me. Maybe I've just been charmed by the brand new sea otter pieces. They've introduced a couple of these adorable, relaxing sea otters, and they actually include 2 of them in the set. I just think this is a really cute piece. Yes, it doesn't really make sense outside of the world of LEGO Friends. I wouldn't put this in my LEGO City, for example, because they're a little bit goofy, but I do like them for what they are. They definitely fit the Friends theme. You've also got a recolor of the turtle with a new print, as well as a new print on the seahorse as well, which is always nice to get new styles of animals from LEGO sets. Now, in terms of the build itself, you have a number of things that are actually going on here. You have a rotating radar station, so I guess this can fully spin around and be a bit of a lookout post. A slide for the sea otters to actually come down on. You have a jet ski for some of the characters like Autumn to ride. A lot of those amazing transparent blue curved pieces. Very nice to get more and more of those, especially in such a high quantity. And what's really cool is that you even have a little bit of an otter x-ray here. So maybe they're doing some rescuing attempts and making sure they're safe and healthy. So on one side you have the skeleton, and on the other side you have the x-ray for the sea otter itself, which is just so adorable. Overall, this is a pretty simple set, and honestly, I probably like it a little bit better than I should. I just think it's really charming. You have a ramp to like deploy the sea otters to go down the slide. You have a microscope. For $50, it feels not bad, even though the price per part ratio is not great. It has a lot of big pieces, lots of these large domed wind pieces. You've got their windscreen pieces, you have the large slide, and overall this feels pretty substantial for what you pay for, and I just love the color scheme. So overall, this one feels like a winner to me. Moving on from this set though, we can take a look at our next few sets. I think the next one we should take a look at is probably Autumn's Stables here, because that's kind of a similar size of set and similar size of build. So this is meant to be part of the horse riding theme, so it comes with a couple of horses, Cloud and Spring, good names for horses, those are pretty solid, as well as a little bit of a carriage for the horses to draw, a little miniature, I guess, shed for water for the horses themselves, and that's pretty much what it includes. So this retails for $60 US and comes with 545 pieces. I definitely feel like this one could have been closer to 50, although I definitely am also very much in favor of the color scheme. I love fall. Fall is probably my favorite season, so I'm a big fan of the way the color scheme worked. The dark orange utilized for the roof elements just looks so good, and I like the integration of these log pieces. You've got printed elements being used for the wood and the logs, making this feel like an actual countryside cabin. You have a lot of space to even park the chariot. Like, you can put the chariot here while the horses are resting or something, and you can put the horses in the stables. It does come with 2 of them, which is very nice, with different prints on them as well. And once you move around to the other side, of course, you have some riding gear, saddles on the edge, you have some pieces here to ride the horses, and on the inside of the cottage, this is actually a pretty nice and livable space. You've got a nice table with a checkerboard pattern to sit at and eat some sandwiches. You have a really nice just set of beds here to relax in. Overall, this just feels so cozy to me. I definitely am a big fan of how this came together. You have a birdhouse there. Like, that's just a little house for the bird. It's just a really charming and nice set. $60 though, yeah, it feels a little too high. I'm gonna be honest, this does feel a little bit too high for what you actually get. 50 would have been amazing, but it really does feel like this and a lot of the other sets were hit by the price increases. So honestly, this I would recommend if you're into the style of building, if you're into the architecture of this kind of asymmetrical style of cottage. but only really if it's on sale, because 60 does feel a little bit too high. Not as high as some of the other stuff on this list, but still fairly high. Moving on from that, we can take a look at our next set, which is going to be the Sports Center. So the Sports Center retails for $95, and this is where things get a little bit goofy. Yeah, $95 for this is kind of crazy, but let's take a look first at what we actually have included in the set itself. So there's actually a number of different things that are included in the set. What's really weird is that this is somewhat reminiscent of the new Icons of Play set, which was a set introduced to specifically champion kids getting into sports and football and whatnot, specifically young girls. But this has a very similar play feature to that, but also does a lot more. So I like this whole set itself. I like the concept of it. I can't think of the last time, if ever, that we got a Lego gym. So this is actually a really interesting concept for a set because we don't get a lot of Lego gyms, but I just feel like it's overpriced. But we'll talk about that in a second. Let's take a look at what you can do with the set first. So this is one of my favorite parts of the set because there's a lot of things you can do with this. First of all, you can play tennis, so you can actually try to bounce the ball back and forth. This actually can be played with friends because if you have someone on the other side and like you miss hitting it with your racket, then you could have the ball be missed and kind of fall over or knock over your character. So it's kind of a cool thing to play with. Like, I like how this is the first, I think, playable Lego tennis build. However, if you want to, you can remove the net here, take away the nets that they're holding, kind of put those away in here, and you can convert this to a soccer field. So what you can do instead is take the brand new color of soccer ball that they introduced for Icons of Play as well as this. This is a transparent kind of neon yellow. This is the highlighter yellow color, and you can like play soccer with it. So this is kind of cool. I mean, it's a super similar concept to stuff that they've done in the past for Lego Sports and stuff like that. In 2003, they had like Lego Soccer be a sub-theme of sports. Obviously much more simplified, but I actually really like how this is fully playable. And funnily enough, it's a lot more playable than the recent Icons of Play set, which had a similar feature, but only half a field, and the figures weren't even connected on sticks. So I think, honestly, Friends kind of improved on the function compared to the dedicated set for Lego Sports and Lego Soccer, which is a pretty impressive feat. So there's a lot of cool stuff you can do with this area, but setting that aside, there is a basketball hoop, so you can use probably some of these Bionicle voodoo balls or ball joint pieces as basketballs, and there's also a scorecard here, so you can keep score for however many goals each team gets, depending on the color of their jersey. So obviously, as you can see, the characters are wearing different colors of jerseys, which do correspond with these stickers there, which is pretty nice. But the main attraction is this large building here, and this is kind of our first Lego gym, which is really interesting, and I like that there's so many things that you can actually do here. So first of all, as you can see, this has a really nice sign at the top. I like the shaping of the sign. This is a new printed piece for the soccer ball, which I'm sure is going to be really useful. The color scheme is also really nice. I like that you can see inside of the rock climbing wall, as well as just have clear view into the gym itself. But rotating this around is where there's actually a lot of stuff that can be done. So starting off on the top level, you have a punching area, so you can kind of use this to train. You've got some weights to lift. You have a treadmill, so this actually is a working treadmill. Like, you can move these pieces around and they kind of rotate, and you have a handle as well. You have a cycling machine, so you can actually seat a mini doll on this and use it to cycle, which is really cool. Here on the top floor, or the bottom floor here, you have a series of lockers, and each of the lockers has something unique in it. You've got medals, you have a hat, you have chocolate, and here some donuts, some penalty flags. You have a new print for bubble gum, which was introduced this year in January Friends sets, a camera, and then a helmet here. So there's like a lot of personality to these. You've got some trophies up here as well, utilizing drum lacquered elements, and then this all rotates outwards, and there's actually a bathroom to use. There's a mirror here that's kind of all steamed up from the shower, which is really interesting, a hair dryer, which is really cool, and you can even access the shower itself, which has a little buildable soap in there, plus a few water droplets that have fallen out of the shower. I really like that. I mean, this just feels so realistic to me. Obviously, it is a very small space, but I feel like the set is taking the most advantage of the space it's been given. You have a water cooler, you have a gym check-in area, even a boombox to play music, and then here you have a rock climbing wall. So this is specifically made so that you can climb upwards and just go up to the top, which is really, really cool. I like how this overall build is done, and it was really fun just putting mini dolls on here and spinning it around. Overall, I really like this set. Like, this is a really cool gym. And I feel like it was just so cool putting together different pieces of things that you would see in an actual gym. But $95, what is going on? This does not feel worth $95 to me. It's hard to judge, because obviously you've got all these little side things, like, okay, let's say that this is maybe worth $10? I wouldn't say 15. Okay, let's say like all of this is worth 15, maybe. I mean, nowadays it would probably be 20, but 15 for this. So is this worth 80? I definitely don't think so. I think this by itself is worth maybe 60, 70? I mean, I don't know. Like, if you look at the Sea Wildlife Rescue, which also has a pretty bad price per part ratio, but this is 50, and they're like around the same size. Sure, the Sports Center is bigger and has more things going on the inside, but like maybe 60, right? Like, this is probably worth $60, 65 at best, maybe. So like, that brings all of this to 75 in my eye, which is a big difference from 95. And it does come with 832 pieces, so the price per part ratio is 11.4 cents, which isn't good, but it isn't bad. But it just feels bad having to spend $95 on this. I personally was surprised when I looked up the price of this after building it. When building it, I imagined that this was like 75 to 80. And 95 was a bit of an unwelcome surprise for me. That's just how I feel, though. I think it's a really solid set. I like pretty much everything about it. This is a lot of fun. There's so much stuff to do inside here. It's really our first LEGO gym, which is really cool. Just 95? Nah, that ain't it. Setting this aside, though, we can take a look at some of the other sets as we continue working our way through the LEGO Friends assortment. Now, there's a smaller 4+ set that I think is best to just get out of the way right now, and that is this guy right here. And this is the very simple Riding School. So, in the Riding School, this is set number 41746, retails for $30 US. It is just a 4+ set, so obviously it is meant for a younger audience. There's a lot of stuff that you can do with it. You have a baby horse, you have a grown-up horse, you have all these pieces that separate out. So for instance, I can say, remove this piece right here. Let's get that out of the way. And this is a place for the horses to kind of practice jumping over, so that adds some play value to things. You can also remove this right here, so you have a smaller jump. You can even move this piece out right here as well, which is a bit of a station to clean your horses. And even this separates out as well, which is kind of a wheel that you can spin to choose what you want to do. So maybe now it's time the horses to go to sleep, or now it's time to go to sleep, or maybe now it's time to... okay, clean the horses, or feed the horses. You see how this works. So it's a fun little turntable. It's a printed piece. Everything in here is actually printed because it is a junior set. So in 4+ sets, everything is fully printed because they do not trust 4-year-olds to put stickers on. I wouldn't either. And that actually gives it a bit more of a deluxe feel. I do like how everything is printed. For $30, I think we're used to 4+ sets being ridiculously overpriced. And to be completely honest, $30 is not bad for this. Like, it's definitely high, but it's not as ridiculously high as I would have imagined a juniorized set to be. I would have thought they would have charged $40 for this, for a 4+ set, but $30? Honestly, maybe LEGO has just conditioned me to accept bad 4+ prices, but it's like not bad. You've got a lot of large pieces, you have these lavender elements. It definitely is hitting me a bit in the nostalgia. It feels like a Belleville set, or something we would have gotten from LEGO back in like 2004, 2005, 2006 era, just because of, I think, these pieces used, they really do evoke that style. So it's okay. I probably wouldn't have gotten this myself if LEGO didn't send it to me. It's an okay set, but I think it's overall not bad. For $30, I think it's okay. Moving aside, though, we can take a look at some of the last few sets here. Now, we have about 5 sets left until we have everything covered. And I think the next one to cover here is the Sea Rescue Boat. So let's go ahead and set aside some of the other builds, and we'll take a look at those later. But this is the Sea Rescue Boat. It comes with a side build for a submarine, which is actually a really nice build. A lot of different sea creatures, so you have dark blue Fred's dolphins, light aqua Fred's dolphins as well, which are so nice. I really like how those turned out. I mean, those just look so cute. And the price of this boat is $80, which is also high, but also not that bad compared to some of the other sets on this list. So 717 pieces, $80 or 85 euros, that's an 11.2 cent price per part ratio in the US, and while I do feel like value is maybe not quite there, I do like what the set has to offer, and I actually really like the shaping of the set overall. When I was building it, it initially felt very rectangular, and I almost felt a little bit let down by how boxy it was, until this whole section came together, and then I was really impressed. So for these pieces, they are utilizing a part that was introduced for, I believe, the Porsche 911 LEGO Creator Expert Icon set, and they've utilized that in orange and white for the different pontoons of the boat itself, which feels so organic and so good. I really like the shaping here and how it continues alongside. The entire back of the boat is even rounded off. Now, the back itself is just kind of an open area space because this is intended to be able to sweep up trash. So the set itself comes with a number of different bottles and cans that you can sweep up and kind of collect with your net and sort them into the proper recycling containers. So another great message for a LEGO Friends set. The submarine may be one of my favorite parts of the build as well. It's just a really cute and small little submarine that is just so much fun to play around with. I just like how rounded and bulbous it is, and this goes alongside super well with the plane because you can clearly tell they have similar visual aesthetics. Like you can have the same color scheme here, they're both very rounded and bulbous in the way that they're presented. They feel very unique compared to other LEGO items, and I like how this feels like a very complete package, especially when you also add the ocean center here. That's like a really nice collection of sets. It's just 3 small sets, but I think they all come together really, really well. Setting aside these other sets though, let's just take a closer look at the boat itself because this actually does have an interior. Out of all the LEGO Friends boats, this may be my second favorite. I really loved the houseboat. They had a canal houseboat, which is so amazing and so cute, and I love that set. But this is a close second. Like, this actually has quite a lot of different things to do inside of it, where, as you can see here, the full interior is really stocked up. You have a kitchen, you even have a stove. Like, wow, they are living in style. I want to ride this boat. You have a science lab area investigating some pathogens or bacteria in the water, which is really interesting. You have 2 beds to sleep in with ocean-themed dressing, which is very nice. That would be such a relaxing sleep. And you even have a bathroom. Like, this entire thing opens up, and you've got a bathroom with a toilet and a sink in it, which is very deluxe for a boat. I think that is really, really nice. It definitely feels like a special style of boat itself. And what's cool is that you also have a fun water slide, so you can start from piloting the boat up here, but then if you want to, you can slide into the water itself. This is just so much fun. It is really fun to play around with. You also have wheels on the bottom, kind of cheater wheels, to allow it to float like so. And I just really like how this is put together. For 80 bucks, it's not great, but it's not that bad. I would personally have wished for this to be 70 or maybe even 75, but again, 80 is not that far off, and you do get 4 nice animals as well. Setting this aside now, we can take a look at a couple of the final sets here, and I think the final 4 sets here are my 4 favorite sets of the wave. We're going to save my favorite for last and start off with this one, because this one kind of has the least to do with some of the other buildings here. This is the water park, and oh my goodness, just wait until you see what this is packing, because I was so impressed by how this came together. It is the Beach Adventure Park. It retails for $120 or 100 euros with 1,348 pieces, which means this is actually pretty good value. And I actually will say, this is probably one of the best valued sets on the entire list. So, before I make the magic happen, I mean, okay, let's just look at what we have. You have a ride here, so obviously this is supposed to move. I mean, you can expect that to move. You have a bit of a shooting area here where you can win LEGO Friends sets, which is kind of funny. That's pretty meta. You can win the LEGO Friends School, or even what looks to be kind of like an action figure or Ninjago reference on a squid here, a pirate boat in the back. You have a really nice little stand for food and whatnot, a surfing area, kind of a wave rider here. And it, like, looks really cool. Like, it's by the beach. It looks like a lot of fun, but just wait. Just look at this. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Look at that. So, this is probably one of the coolest LEGO Friends sets to me, for a number of reasons. First of all, the back of the box art showcases a cutaway view on how all the gears run through this entire base and interface with every single interconnected mechanism in the set itself, which is so impressive to see. I love how they were able to actually make a set dedicated to this concept. And there's so much fun stuff you can do here, and it's actually surprisingly complicated. So zooming in on different modules here. So obviously there are different modules. First of all, you have one module here which showcases the pirate ship sailing on the water as well as the squids going back and forth, and this is kind of a shooting gallery game, so that is so cool how smooth that is. Like, this is really smooth as it glides back and forth. And then over on this side here, you have a bit of an area to practice your surfing skills. So this is something that I've seen a lot of times on cruise ships and whatnot, but the way that this actually works as a function is so clever. You have your surfer resting on bionicle Borak eyes as it moves back and forth, just kind of moving up and down and back and forth at the same time. It's a really unique motion and so clever in its construction. I'm a big fan of how this turned out. And then of course you get to the main event, and that is this whole ride at the top here. You can see just a sneak peek of the amount of craziness that the gear mechanism is utilizing here, because thankfully they did make it transparent so you can see the moving gears. What happens is that this rotates on one axis, and then the individual spinning element actually rotates on a different axis at a different speed as well. It is surprisingly complex. There's a lot going on here, and technically speaking, this was probably one of the most interesting builds that I've had the pleasure of putting together. I really enjoyed it. This was so much fun. I'm just so impressed by how they were able to make this such a fun and unique function that is all fully interconnected. And even without the function, this is just a really fun set with so much life and vibrancy to it. You have the drink stand here with a brick-built area for a drink. You have, obviously, the games here where you can kind of aim your cannon and shoot down the different things. You even have alternate heads included for alternate facial expressions for the characters, which I just lost, which is also a little bit uncanny because, again, LEGO Friends have molded heads, so they do not have expressions on the back of the heads. They have to include separate heads for the characters themselves. But overall, big fan of the set. I hope that LEGO will do more stuff like this because this is so clever. It is so smart how it all comes together. Having these Technic pins be exposed really makes me wish that maybe, just maybe, we might see another set like this. I think that would be super cool if you could attach this on and maybe have an even bigger water park that this is only a part of. I would personally love to see that. But overall, this is really solid. For 120, yeah, one of the first times I'm going to say for this list, it is worth it. Like, I genuinely feel like this is worth what you pay for, just for the engineering of the build alone. Like, building the function and figuring out how the engineering worked was genuinely a treat to witness. Like, I felt like I learned a lot from this build. I felt like I could just be a LEGO master builder after putting this together. So, huge fan of this. Kudos to the designers who put it together. And this is still not even the best set of the wave, because we still have 3 more incredible sets to take a look at. Yeah, we're saving the best for last. We'll set that one aside, and let's take a look at this duo of sets here. So, these sets right here kind of form a whole city street, and the way that this is put together is that this is the community center, and this is the community cafe. First of all, they attach very simply by a number of Technic pins, so we can take a look at just the community center first, I think. We'll start with this. They've introduced a brand new piece to allow these floors to be modular. It is kind of similar to juniorized stuff, but also like Mario sets, but an L-shaped bracket here, which allows you to swap floors back and forth. So you can really arrange the floors in whatever order that you want. The roof comes off as well, so you can basically orient this in whatever different color scheme that you want. Personally, I just have this right now set up to be very close to the actual box art itself. This is how it recommends you put it together, but I mean, if you want to, you can just put this floor here, put this floor here, put this down there. The possibilities are pretty much endless, and you can probably see where we're going with that one. But obviously, as you can see here, this is kind of an apartment style of building. It is really colorful. Is it realistic? Maybe not. But is it nice? Oh yes. I love the build for the tree here. This is just so gorgeous how they have a very vibrant tree. You have a tire swing, which is so nice. You even have Nova here painting the bench yellow, which I think is just a really cool and fun detail. And then as you rotate this around, every single floor has something completely unique going on. And this is so impressive. So let's start at the bottom floor here. You have an area dedicated to music. So you can turn this, and the turnstile turns here for your characters to be able to sing at the karaoke stage. You have a piano here, a guitar. So this is kind of a music store area, or maybe a music apartment. Moving on upwards here, you have an apartment that is kind of dedicated to live streaming. So you have a tripod holding a phone, an area for podcasters with a nice little tessellated background behind them. You have a computer screen as well as a really comfy looking chair to edit your podcast. Like you can see the audio signature at the end there. This is like a video editing software. So this is like a movie making studio, which is so cool, and even a makeup area to make sure you're good to go on camera. Moving up here, we have a racing and board game area with a very, very cool throwback to a classic LEGO theme, Heroica. This was part of the LEGO Games line. I never thought I would see a LEGO Heroica reference in 2023. I think this is the first time the theme has been referenced outside of itself for years, like maybe ever, so that's so cool to see that. And they even replicated what the board looks like. So you can see that those obviously mimic the LEGO game board there, which is so cool. You have a video game area. I'm not sure if this is supposed to represent one specific video game, or maybe it's just kind of a generic one, but I don't know, you could say it's 2K Drive or something. And overall, very, very cool how they have that reference. And then on the top floor here, you have an art studio. So you have an area for painting, which is pretty cool because you have games, music, and what looks to be like nature kind of combining into one painting there. You also have someone working on making shirts. Oh, I see. That's not a painting. That's a t-shirt. Oh, that's cool. Okay, so this is a t-shirt that's being drawn on there. And then this is a sewing machine for the t-shirt itself. That is cool. And you also, let me see this. Yeah, so as you rotate this right here, you can actually see the sewing machine actually kind of is supposed to work. You rotate this piece and something pushes up the element right here. Unfortunately, mine is getting stuck a little bit. It's just getting stuck into up position, but I appreciate the effort to try to make this kind of have a function. And even then, that's not all, because you can go to the top floor here and you have a garden that's growing on the roof. You have a water tower area and even a movable part right here that slides back and forth. So on the outside, you can actually decorate a beautiful mural on the outside here, which is very, very nice. Raise and lower yourself. And that's how this set works. But that's not all about this amazing community center, because there's actually quite a lot more that you can do. This right here is the Heart Lake Community Kitchen. It is meant to be kind of a kitchen area for folks to come together and be able to enjoy a meal together, which is really, really nice. I like the concept behind this set. It just feels very wholesome to me in terms of the vibes of the build itself, but specifically what this is supposed to be is that both of these combine together. So this retails for $68 US. Mind you, way too high. What are they doing? 68? What? It definitely feels like something that was initially supposed to be 60, and then LEGO was like, oh, we can raise the prices a bit and make it 68. In Europe, it's worse though. In Europe, it's 70 euros. So, sorry for all the Europeans, but it's a nice build, not worth the price, but what's very cool is that it combines with this. This is $140, which I think is actually pretty fair. Like, $140 for this feels fair. Like, this is a big building, but you can take this and combine them together. First of all, let's take a quick look at the kitchen. I really like how the sidewalk is done. Like, you've got a lot of really interesting pieces being utilized for the sidewalk, like the Minecraft bread piece, but as you rotate this around, there is a fully stocked kitchen. There's lots of different types of food here. There is a whole area for spices. There's different cooking materials being used there, and then even a space to eat at the top here with a nice little set of string lights going across it. But the entire point of these sets is that, yes, they can combine. So as you can see, these two buildings have a very similar shape to them. So here's how this all comes together. First, remove the roof of the community center right here, so the entire roof just comes off. And then, this entire part of the building is its own thing, so this is something separate. What you can do is you can take all of the buildings here, bear with me, you can put them on top of each other to make an even taller tower. You're left with this open plot here, but that is a really good space for this, which is the kitchen. Now, there's a couple of things that feel a little bit goofy to me about the way that this layout works. First of all, obviously, as you can see, there is a door here that leads to nowhere. Do not walk through that door or you're going to have a very bad time, but I mean, you can't really avoid that. The stairs do go up to an open window, which is very nice, or an open door, so you can actually enter the building there, although that is a bit of a step upwards. Now here, you've got the community center walkway, which has kind of a fence that is bordered off, but I guess that kind of makes sense for a restaurant. Like, I feel like a restaurant would have their fence set aside here. So overall, this is actually really cool, and I think this is probably the way I'm going to display it. I just like the sheer height of this tower. It is so cool how that all comes together. Obviously you have the kitchen, then you have all these different levels just stacked on top of each other. It's just so cool. Like, I like how they've made two sets that work in conjunction with each other and just didn't even really advertise it that much. Like, this is just something that you can kind of just do. It's only shown in the back of the boxes and instruction manuals. And here's what that amazing skyscraper looks like with all the different floors. It just looks so cool, and I'm a big fan of how this came together. So, A+ for modularity. The kitchen's way too overpriced, though. Why is it $68? What are they cooking? What is LEGO cooking with that price? Otherwise, though, it's not bad. I think it's okay. Like, the build is great, so it's really tough for me to try to judge this by the price because I love the builds. It looks great. The community center is a good price, I would say. Like, that's a pretty decent price. And the kitchen is a not-so-decent price, but it looks so good combined that I would just recommend it anyways. Setting this aside now, we can take a look at the final set, which is, in my opinion, the best LEGO Friends set that we've gotten this year. Maybe the best LEGO Friends set that we've gotten ever. So this right here is the Botanical Gardens. This is one of the first sets to sell out almost immediately on June 1st and go straight to back order. More popular than Jurassic World, more popular than Harry Potter, more popular than Ninjago. This was the first set to go on back order for the June 1st LEGO releases. So clearly LEGO is doing something very, very right here. So this is the incredible Botanical Garden retailing for $80 85 euros with 1,072 pieces, which is a pretty fair price. For what you get, 80 feels a little high, like it definitely feels like it could be 70, but it also has a lot of little pieces. There's so many little details in it that I honestly can't fault it too much. Let's start with the exterior and work our way in. First of all, LEGO has never made a building that looks quite like this. I've never seen anything like this, and I just think it is so cool how LEGO has put this together. There is a beautiful little pond with a recolor of the rubber duck piece in brown, which is so adorable there. You can see that the little duckities are swimming in there with a waterfall cascading out of the side of the building. What is really special is that, let me just zoom in here, there actually is a nice little detail here where you can see underneath the water itself, you actually have fish underneath the water. So you've got ducks there, and then the fish underneath them. There's even a frog submerged underneath the water. So they have this kind of technique that they utilized in some of the Lunar New Year sets, but they haven't really used it outside of that. And they also have little placards dedicated to each of the different types of flowers that you'll be able to see here. This whole picnic area is completely separatable, so you can set that aside temporarily. This is a beautiful kind of cherry style of tree. Love how that one's done. Of course, as you move on inwards, you can see the entrance to the Botanical Garden. It is also using the really great piece usage of the NASA Saturn, the space shuttle that they used here for the side walls of the space shuttle, but they've used this as kind of the top of the roof here. Here you are utilizing a recolor of the LEGO fur element used for characters like Kraven the Hunter or Vulture, but they're using it here as a type of tree, which just looks so good. Again, so many amazing recolors, and as you rotate this around, there's a lot to see. First off, you have this large central tree with different types of butterflies swirling around it. They have introduced a new color for the butterfly and a new print in the black here, which is meant to represent a real-life butterfly, which is so nice and so realistic. You also, as you move inwards, there's just so many different plants. You can see like cacti style of plants here, and the instruction manual actually goes into detail and shows real-life examples of what each and every single one of them is supposed to look like, which is just so impressive. I think my favorite piece usage here is the recolored saxophone. They have taken the saxophone element and recolored it in lime, which is so smart to utilize for those different types of plants. They've also recolored the armor spiked piece from like some of the older LEGO sets, like the Prince of Persia sets, in red, and that actually acts as its own flower, which looks so realistic. Everything is just incredibly done, incredibly curated, incredibly well put together, and the only downside is that, well, this is technically only half a building, where you can see it looks amazing from the front, but from the back, it is clearly opened up. It is not a full dome. I would have loved to see this be a full dome, but you know what? Lego's got me. So what I've done is, because this set is so nice and so amazing, I have actually bought a second copy of this set and also purchased instructions online to not only convert it into a full building, but to convert it into a modular building as well and integrate it into the streets of my modular city. So that will be a completely separate video in and of itself to combine them. I cannot wait to put that video out because that absolutely upgrades the set. In fact, after filming this, I'm gonna go and film that right now and put that together. So can't wait to do that, but overall for 80 bucks, this is just so perfect, and I think this is a really good place to end this video. Talking about the LEGO Friends summer sets, a lot of bangers here, a lot of absolute heater sets. Like, there's so many amazing sets that LEGO has put out. I'm a big fan of a lot of them, especially those last 4 that we looked at are some of the best, just not even LEGO Friends sets, but some of the best LEGO sets they've ever done. So I love what LEGO Friends is doing, especially in 2023. I feel like LEGO Friends has significantly upped its game. People should take it seriously now because clearly they are taking it very, very seriously as a theme, and I cannot wait to see what the future holds. Are some of the sets overpriced? No, most of the sets are overpriced, not just some. But they're just so good that I honestly can't even complain that much, because even though you do have to pay quite a lot of money for a lot of the sets, a lot of them are so incredible and represent different things in LEGO that we've never seen before that honestly, you know what? LEGO cooked. I'm pretty happy with this, and while some sets are better than others, I definitely feel like the final 4 sets are contenders for some of the best sets of the year, and that is saying something because this year has been amazing for LEGO. That about sums up my review of LEGO Friends Summer 2023. Thank you so much for watching, and I'm really curious down in the comments below, how would you rank these sets? Which are your favorites, which are your least favorites, and which have you gotten, if any, so far? Thanks all for watching, and stay tuned for my video, especially about this, because I cannot wait to build this into a full-on modular building and put it into my LEGO city. Alright, and with that, we have summed up our look at all 14 brand new Summer 2023 LEGO Friends sets. Let me know down in the comments below which ones are your favorites, how would you rank them, and if any, which ones do you already own, and what has been your experience playing with and building these brand new sets. With that, we have summed up this video. Thank you all so much for tuning into Duckbricks. Be sure to like and subscribe for even more LEGO news, reviews, discussion, and analyses coming your way very soon. Thank you so much, and bye for now.